And joining us now is Richard Goldberg. He is a senior advisor at the Foundation for Defensive Democracies in Washington, D.C., and he led the fight at the National Security Council during President Trump's first term in countering Iran's weapons of mass destruction program. Richard, always great to see you. Hey, can you talk about this historic partnership between President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu? Richard, I've compared them to a pair of modern-day Churchills working in tandem. Talk about how that partnership is changing not only the region, but really changing history.
I think that's completely right. When you think about it, the operative recipe for President Trump's success in his first term was maximum pressure on Iran, combined with maximum support for our ally Israel. And in the face of that paradigm, Arab countries said, hey, I want to be part of this success. I want to be part of weakening our enemies, those that don't want to see a better future for the Middle East, strengthening partners that are leading the world, not just in defense technology, but as the president said today, innovation in the state of Israel. And that's how the Abraham Accords was born. Well, President Trump went right back to the recipe book when he took office here, because over the last 4 years, we had seen a switch where we were having a maximum deference policy to Iran and pressure on Israel. It wasn't working. We got October 7th. We had a 7-front war. Israel was under pressure to basically surrender in that war. And had they done that, we would have a very different picture today. Instead, President Trump came in and said, Israel's our ally. They're our vital ally, as he said today in front of the Knesset. They're a democracy, shared values, obviously a leader in defense technology, but in innovation. We're going to support them. He lifted all the restrictions on military supply that Joe Biden had put on Israel. He said we're going back to maximum pressure on Iran, quickly in secret coordinated with Prime Minister Netanyahu on what else Israel needed in order to finish the job against Iran's ring of fire around it, and also its nuclear and missile programs. Came in at the end with his own B-2 bomber strikes. And then all the other cards just sort of came together on the table here as Israel had already decimated Hezbollah. Now you have Iran itself cut down a size. Hamas on its last legs. A strike in Doha that even made the Qataris, the sponsor of the Muslim Brotherhood, fear for their own vulnerability. And President Trump was able to then go to the Arab world and say, listen, I'm with the winner here. I'm with my ally, Israel. We're not abandoning them. I don't care what European power wants to get up at the UN and recognize a fictitious Palestinian state. I'm sticking with Israel. You can be part of this win, and I can do a lot of great things for you. And I think that what we saw today was getting all the hostages out while Israel's military remains in Gaza. The president was there for a victory speech and a victory rally, because this is truly the President of the United States and the Prime Minister of Israel declaring victory over Iran's ring of fire against the Islamic Republic and all of their terror axis, and saying that now, for those who want to be part of that winner's circle, that want to be part of the U.S. and Israel's vision for the future of peace, come to the table now. And I think we will start seeing the Saudis, the Indonesians, many other countries that don't have normalized relations with Israel say we want to be a part of this future. And that is really why the president is talking about the fact that he is the peacemaker in chief here, but he's doing that by having peace through strength.
Yeah. Key point there, Richard. Great breakdown. And as you said, look, Israel, the United States, and the free world, the big winners today. Big losers, Hamas, of course, but by extension, the head of the snake of that ring of fire that you mentioned, the Iranian regime. Hey, you've called attention, speaking winners, losers, and how things are going to shake out in the aftermath of this historic day. You've called attention to the nefarious role that Qatar has played and the regime in Turkey as well. As we look ahead, where does the future lie for Qatar and Turkey? They're going to angle to be more prominent players in the recovery plan in Gaza. Where do you see those two troublesome regimes heading, and will the West hopefully hold them accountable?
Yeah, this is a great question. And I think obviously there's details in the plans for the next phase of who's doing the demilitarizing of Gaza that the president talks about, who's going to actually disarm and verifiably disarm Hamas going forward. How is that going to happen? Who's going to be destroying the tunnel infrastructure throughout Gaza? all important questions. I think one of the key questions that the president talks about is the de-radicalization of Palestinian society. He said today the Palestinians need to spend more time focused on building up their own people instead of tearing down Israel. He's totally right. That's why past peace processes have failed. So what are the key strategic impediments to that in front of us? I think one is the potential for radical Islamist forces to continue to have a hold over Palestinian society. That's the Muslim Brotherhood. Hamas is a branch of the Muslim Brotherhood. Who sponsors it? It's Qatar. It's Turkey. How do we actually make sure that the Muslim Brotherhood doesn't continue to have a grip there or elsewhere in the world? By the way, operations in the United States as well. We can designate that organization as a terrorist group. What about Al Jazeera and Turkish media that radicalizes people throughout the Arab world to hate America, not just Israel? Something has to be done there, especially as we've seen Al Jazeera embedded with Hamas throughout this war. And then on the other side of the coin is the United Nations. The UN obviously has a whole institution and apparatus just dedicated to radicalizing Palestinians to go to war with Israel. That has to be completely dismantled. Hamas, Islamic Jihad, these are not terrorist groups according to the UN. And so if we put the UN in any sort of responsibility role in the reconstruction of Gaza or in continuing their operations in where the Palestinian Authority operates in the West Bank, Judea and Samaria, that's a recipe for continued failure and radicalization of the Palestinian population. So we have to deal with the Muslim Brotherhood, their sponsors, their media, and we also have to deal with the United Nations.
Yeah, Richard, great points all around. Look, today a day of jubilation, of course, but much work needs to be done still. This was only phase one of this Gaza peace plan, and you make a great point about the Muslim Brotherhood. It is time to designate them, the United States, to designate them as a terrorist organization officially. They are the granddaddy of them all when it comes to modern Islamic terror. Richard, great breakdown. Folks, be sure to follow Richard Goldberg on X and across social media. Richard, great work. God bless. We'll see you again soon.
God bless. Thank you all.